You're listening to Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures with Kristin and Polly, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good morning. Welcome to Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. I'm Kristin. This is Polly. How are you, Polly?
Oh my God, so good, Kristin. How are you?
I could feel your passion in that. I am also doing quite well, but I'm more motivated by your happiness than anything right now.
You know what's funny? Because not everybody's looking at Kristin, but I am, and I see because of the green screen, I see part of your hair it vanishes. It's like you have some ghost hair.
It is, it's a psychic adventure. My hair is having its own psychic adventure. What can we do? What can you do?
I think my hair needs to have a psychic adventure.
If your hair's not having an adventure, are you really living? I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay, so we do have a fun topic today, but we got to share some stories.
Okay, I love a good story. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm privy to your story that I want you to share. I don't know if you're going to share it or not.
There's another one. There's another one that just happened yesterday afternoon.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I will share a high vibrational moment of the week.
Excellent.
Okay, so yesterday was my son's 16th birthday, which is just always my favorite day when one of those little angel teenagers has a birthday, because the best thing about social media, about Facebook, is the time lapse or the timeline, how they're like, 10 years ago you posted this. And I spent way too much time reflecting on all the photos. And it's like, when your teenager actually sleeps and you peek in on them, you can see their baby face in their teenage face. Like, I swear you can. So it was just a day of reflection and appreciation and love. And I felt it so big that my kids could feel it. And we were just driving to school, and Liv even said, she's like, I'm so happy. And in my head, I was like, I'm so happy too. And I should try to hang on to this daily so I can spread some more joy. But it was a really happy day.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, because maybe kids in particular, if there's any young adults listening, maybe kids forget how remember how it is when you find out you're pregnant and then you have those little babies,
oh my God,
how exciting it can be. And I know for some people it's a time of stress, absolutely. But you have that, you make that connection, that bond, that it's forever there.
I remember being pregnant, and we also had 2 little dogs. And someone told me they were trying to prep me for having a baby, and they're like, you know how much you love your dogs? You will love this baby 1,000,000 times more. And in my head, I was like, well, you're a horrible dog parent, because nobody could love anything more than I love my dogs. So there. And I tell you what, words of wisdom, that baby arrived, and I was like, oh my God, this is, it's like you didn't know love until you loved this baby. So yeah. Children of the world, you are loved.
Yes.
Be nice to mama.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so good. Let's see. High vibrational moment for me. I think, I just got off the trail. That's always high vibrational. I think, you know what it was? I did a little traveling this year. I mean, this year, this week, I did a little traveling, and I had to hone that down, bring it in smaller. This week, I did a little traveling, and when I came home, I was like, as we say, thank you, God. I was so happy to be home. I was so happy to be home in my house, my energy, listen to my music. Oh my God. That was it. That was
yes.
it.
There's no place like home.
No place like home. Okay. Do you have a psychic story?
You know what? I really don't. I feel like I don't have one for you.
Okay, I'll tell you a quick one, and then I'll tell you a little bit more lengthy. Okay.
I love a good story time.
Yesterday, because how it's fun to dip on in to get a facial,
Yes.
So I was going to the person that I go once a month, and I told her the story that I'm going to tell you next because I see her every month, and so I told her that story, and she's like, oh my God, that makes me feel, it just makes me so happy to think about our loved ones watching over us. And I was like, yeah, they do amazing things. Like those on the other side, they they do amazing things for us, and we don't always recognize it. So then she was like, yeah, when I'm feeling lonely or whatever, I'll think about my parents. And so, my eyes are closed and immediately I see her parents. And her parents were showing me, like, you remember those things from the olden days where, like, if it was a thing like for a wedding, there would be like the two birds holding like the
Yes.
crepe paper or something with the, right,
Mhm.
and it was a very distinctive look. And I was like, oh, your parents are showing me that wedding, the symbol of wedding. Is somebody, is it an anniversary or a wedding or something? And she's like, oh my God, I totally would have forgotten today was her anniversary. Isn't that
Her
funny?
own anniversary?
Her own anniversary.
Oh, that's funny.
It
That
was.
is funny. Saved by the spirit world.
I know, and her parents were just showing me, they were like so happy. That was like such a time of joy and pride for them. Like they were just so, she subsequently divorced, but she's still friends with her.
Side note.
She was
Her
married for a
parents were
very long
happy. Her,
time.
not so much.
Her marriage it would have been 27 years, but
Wowza.
less than that, just a few years.
Okay.
Anyhow, but she's still close with her ex-husband, and he sends her flowers every year on her anniversary. But
Really?
she hasn't received them yet. Isn't that funny?
Maybe he forgot too.
I know, but listen, those parents are reminding me. Okay, so here's the other story.
Yes.
So I unexpectedly had to fly to Seattle, a little cloudy Seattle, to check in with some family stuff. And I wasn't super excited about it, I'll say, but anyhow,
Fair
I
enough.
did it. And to lessen the blow, I decided, okay, I will. It's a short flight. I'll hop into a little first class seat. So
There you
I was
go.
sitting up there, and actually, I was not staying up there. I was just getting on, and the lady that it was going to be my partner, she was like messing around with the bags or something. And typically, I will get on a plane, and I like to not say anything. I like to pretend I'm asleep where I work.
I could see that in you.
Okay, so we get in there. I'm sitting down, and I just say something briefly to her, and she's like, she only flies Alaska Airlines, and she's like, "This is where I met my partner on Alaska Airlines. He proposed to me on Alaska Airlines," and she's like, um, "But I lost him 4 months ago," and she's like, "I just need." I need a psychic to help me connect with him. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. But here's the funny part. She was going to be on a different flight and switched it a few days ago. And she was going to have a different seat on this plane. And she was upgraded for free up to sit next to me in first class. And so that's like, oh my God, did your partner really do a lot of things to make it work so you could sit next to me and I could share these messages with you?
Oh my God. Okay, so
Isn't
how
that,
did you tell her you are in fact a psychic medium? Were you like,
I think I
oh,
just
just your
told her.
luck?
Yeah, I think I just told her. That's what I do, friend. Isn't that funny?
Yes. And you know who I want to be on this plane? I want to be the person in front of you eavesdropping to all of it.
Well, I was in the front in the first row, but I was taking a little peek at the the people across the aisle.
Was anyone tuned in?
I don't think so. Probably the people behind us.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really sweet. Like it's another reminder of how it really brought peace into our life.
Yeah.
Like just to feel those connections, like to know, that he's with her. Like he showed me like how they go to baseball games, and he drank so much soda. Like I could taste the soda in my mouth, but that was him.
Wow.
And all this other stuff about him. But anyhow, it's just so it gives her, which our topic for today, but for her, that's proof that there's something beyond, right?
Yes,
Beyond
it's
this
so
life.
comforting to know that they're always there. You can always communicate. always. And
Yeah.
that just brings so much peace. Death is not a finality. It's just a transition.
Yeah. But to be absolutely 100%, but it's like jumping off the cliff because we don't know exactly what we're going to get,
This is true.
right?
Yes,
And,
for sure.
it's not like you can, um, even though we get the messages from our loved ones, that's the thing is it's not like we can pop in and say, hi, I'm going to spend the afternoon with you.
Right, exactly. And you're not going to get the physical feedback. You're not going to get the snuggles, the love, the hugs, the physical presence. And not everyone's going to be tuning in as specifically and accurately and effectively as you did on the flight for her.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like she's under grief, she's experiencing grief, so she's not receiving the messages. And she will receive mostly in dreams, but she's can't sleep, so it's harder for her.
Did you guys
right?
talk about that? Like how she could do this without you? And it was
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah. And so she thinks it's more dreams.
Well, I think it's more dreams. And also if she writes her questions down, I feel like if she has questions for him or for whoever, write those questions down and she'll get the answers.
Okay. Well, note to self. You know what? I might do that tonight. Write down some questions and just see what happens.
Just see what happens.
Just see what happens. I'm gonna. There's a couple of Pilates exercises that I'm confused about. I'm gonna write to Joseph Pilates and see if he doesn't.
Oh my God, I love
pop
that.
in and clarify. I mean, why not try, right?
Why not try? Why not? Okay, so this week we are discussing like if you believe in God. Like, are you an atheist? Are you agnostic? Are you a believer? Like, and here's the interesting thing. Does it affect you? Like, if you are somebody that doesn't believe in God, I'm sure it affects how you move through the world. But will it affect you when you cross over? I don't think it does.
Well, plus also, what do you believe? Like that's a huge factor too. Like, what are your expectations? What do you believe? I feel like that is a factor. When you cross over, whatever you believe, I think that you're offered whatever your vision of comfort is. And if you always thought, oh, my great grandma's going to greet me, or oh, Jesus himself is going to be there to greet me. Like, I feel like that is the vibe that welcomes you, so you're not scared to death.
No, 100%. Because I totally agree. Like the people, like if you've read very many near-death experiences, a lot of them, it is what they expect. Right. Mm-hmm. Like if they believe in just one, like in the Holy Father, like then that's who they have. If they don't believe in anything, that's a little scarier. There's that one, Proof of Heaven. Have you read that book?
No. Tell me more.
Oh, it's really good. He was a neurosurgeon and I know, I'm sorry, I'm echoing. I do hear that. But
I can't hear your echo.
Yeah.
Wait, let me write it down. It's called Proof of Heaven?
Yeah, Proof of Heaven.
Okay.
Next time I see you, I have a copy, I'll give to you. Anyhow, it's Ebenezer or something, but Proof of Heaven. He was a neurosurgeon, I think on the East Coast. And he got an infection, went septic, went to a coma, and he was like considered brain dead and had this miraculous recovery. But anyhow, when he was actually brain dead, he had a near-death experience. His experience when he first crossed over was almost like being an amoeba. Because, he didn't believe in God. He was like an atheist. So his experience, but then it evolved, like while he was there, it evolved into something else, which is part of the story, so you have to read the story. But he's since written other books, and I know that his perception of life after death has definitely shifted over time. But he was this, neuroscientist who definitely was not waving the woo-woo flag.
Got it.
And that's who he is now.
Wow. So a full transformation on his beliefs.
Yeah. It was really interesting to me because just imagine if you don't have an idea of what's on the other side and you cross over, like what you said. If you think you're going to meet Jesus, you probably meet Jesus. If you think there's nothing, it's probably scary.
Oh my God. Yeah. Totally scary to have nothing greet you.
Yeah. But in the same sense, like I believe that there can be people that are atheists who probably don't live they probably are not super happy, but that has nothing to do with them being an atheist. And then there are atheists who are probably very high vibrational living people. They just don't believe in a higher power. Right?
Right. And I think also um, it gets to be, I don't know, maybe a pragmatic thing with like the exact meaning of words.
Yeah.
Like, do you, for example, a group, well, let's see, I guess we quote unquote grew up in the church, like just went to a Presbyterian church, nothing too extreme. But the vibe was very much like you pray to God and he's very much someone you worship, like not your equal. There was no like comfort and soothing. It was very like an unattainable someone you worshiped.
Yeah.
And so then with that connotation, I have a few friends who've just been like, well, that was ridiculous. And our parents always guilted us in, and there were threats of, you got to do this or you'll go to hell. And so they pulled away from the church but lead a very spiritual life. And I feel like arguably they are religious and they do worship a God, but it's just like spirit and it's just more naturey and more open and loving. And then it becomes, just a definition of what is spirit to you. So
Yeah.
all that to say, like for them, they would claim to be atheists, but I always question it.
Dude, but would they really claim to be atheists? Maybe they're just spiritual and not religious. Would they really? I mean, I do know some atheists.
And okay, so do they say, I do not believe in God? Like they make that hardcore statement?
One in particular, but that one in particular, I think because they were raised in the Mormon church, had kind of a miserable life, and just believe. So they equate religion with a higher power.
Got it. Okay. I think that's normal, like for a lot of people that were raised in extreme.
Ooh, I know two people like that.
Ooh,
And they were both in the Mormon church.
really?
Mm-hmm.
No offense, LDS, but
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, but it's got to also, anyhow, it has to also deal with the family, right? Like with the
Oh,
family.
yeah.
And then I also think that there is a certain, like if you look at people who would not believe in a higher power, I feel like there's a certain element of like them, a lack of trust, a lack of being able to trust or have faith. And it's not just like trust or have faith in a God, but trust or have faith in positive things happening in your life, right? Like it's probably hard for them to surrender and anticipate something good happening.
Yes. They probably feel a very much things are happening to me and I just have to react to it rather than, oh, I can pray for something or I can anticipate goodness. I can manifest. I can, positive think and all that stuff. So I very much reactive, which is sad on many levels because then you are powerless and hopeless and there's no forward moving joy in that.
True. But I really do want to believe that there are some people that are atheists that are high vibrational, like beautiful, loving people. I'm sure there has to be. But there has to be, but they just call themselves an atheist.
Yeah. But, and then I think about like what they do on the daily, like maybe their prayer is just meditation where they just think about happy things and it makes them feel happy.
And maybe they are just like these people that help, that are a blessing to the world in their kindness, right? But they don't believe in anything more than right now.
Right. Which there's power being in the present completely. Yeah. So they're fully present and enjoying it. And then they can still be thankful. They may not necessarily make a statement like, thank you, God, but they would be like, oh, I'm so grateful. And just never target that gratitude toward any one entity.
Yes.
But just feel it nonetheless, which I get that.
How interesting. Because I really do think that at some point in your life, in your evolution as a human in this experience, right, hasn't your spiritual belief shifted over time?
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So how interesting is it to think of somebody who believes in nothing to have this aha moment of like, oh my God, there is something.
Totally.
How powerful is that?
And it's like life gave them the opportunity to rethink things in a way that would definitely rattle them and wake them up. And it
Yeah.
had to be something that big for it to shift their beliefs.
Yeah. Okay, here's a stretch.
Oh, I love it. I
Just
love a
go
little
with it.
stretch.
The stretch. So, the other day when I went out hiking, like periodically there'll be that somebody will leave a red rose, or like one time somebody left like a poem about somebody that had crossed over. So
Okay.
they leave like this rose, and I'm assuming it's for somebody that's crossed over, or it could be in honor of people in the war or whatever. But there's a story behind the rose. So I took a picture of it and I posted it on Instagram. And I just, when I see that, I always put prayers to all the people involved in the story, whether the people on the other side, people here walking on earth still. Just send them prayers of ease. So today when I went up there, the rose was gone, but they had put like a few little stones on the bench, and one of them was a heart-shaped stone. And so the rose is gone, but there's like this little collection of stones and hearts, to still remind us there's still this memory, but it's a more subtle message, right? And if you didn't see the rose in the first place, you might not even care about the pile of rocks with the little heart rock on the top, right? And I think that that's kind of like how life is. You get these messages and to catch your attention, and then the next one's a little bit more subtle, but it means something to you because you're being trained to look. The next one is even more subtle, but again, it has the same impact as the original because you've been trained to look. You know what to look for. You know what it feels like. And I feel like there's so much of life in the way we learn about love, and we learn about connecting with the other side, and we learn about God. It's not always the burning bush. It can be subtle, and it might even become more subtle, but it doesn't matter because you are acutely aware of what's out there, if that makes sense.
And sometimes I think subtle is better because it just gives you it pulls your attention in, so you're not distracted by the other stuff. So suddenly the distractions are gone and it's got your attention. But it's not so bold that it rocks your world. It just gives you a little something to think about, a little contemplation. And then when maybe you're distracted again, you're revisited by another subtle reminder, and it becomes something more of entering your thoughts regularly rather than some big boom impact. So I don't think that's a stretch, Polly. I think it was a very, very good story and very good strategy.
But how many people do you know that want the burning bush?
Oh my God. Some days I feel like I want a burning bush. I'll be like, you know what? I need a sign. Just set this tree on fire right in front of me, and then I'll know. You know what I would do? I would blow it somehow. I'd be like, wait a minute. I can't remember if a burning bush was a yes or a no. Can we do this again?
I don't know, but certainly we can ask for all that. Like, just like clear the freeways.
Cool.
I need the clear answer.
Yes.
But even when we get the clear answer, we're still like,
oh, I know. Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's just questioning and questioning, and I am guilty as charged. I do that constantly. And that's just a friendly reminder that maybe I'm too committed to one answer over the other, and I'm not able to see any kind of intervention or guidance from above because I'm like, no, this is the answer. But wait, give me a sign.
It's true. It's so funny. I am actually later today, I need to start working on my blog, but it is exactly that. It's going to be about fear, but it's exactly that. Like how we look at the world, oh my God, we can know the truth, but we still want proof, or we want to play devil's advocate, or I don't know what completely. The hell, right?
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. When you do, when you do a psychic reading on someone, when you're really close with them, is it hard for you to get a clear reading because you're more committed to the outcome or the actual answer to the question?
Well, it's different if I'm doing it for somebody in my family or somebody that I love.
Okay.
Some I don't even do it for. Let me just put that. Or I don't share. That's what I'll say.
Got it. Oh, okay.
Because they know me as mom, or they know me right.
Yeah.
They don't know me as like right. They might be like, "Oh, stop talking already." I want right. Whereas somebody who's
I'm not even listening anymore. Okay.
Yeah, somebody who's paying me is like, "Yeah, keep going."
Right.
Right. There's a different exchange. there's a different exchange. But they do
Okay.
sometimes reach out to me and ask me, and then I think they, if they're asking, then they want to know. Then
Yeah,
they'll listen.
that's true.
Yeah, so I guess that's the answer.
Okay.
Because when I'm doing like a reading, it's almost like I'm in another little, it's like imagine that you're in a chamber. You're in a chamber
Of
and that's like
secrets.
all you have, like it's in a focus chamber,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's different than if, and just, you just blah, 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 blah. It's different than if you're like talking to a family member because you're not in that focus chamber because you've got other stuff going on, right?
True. And one of my favorite things is after you do a reading on me, and then later I'll be like, oh my gosh, my favorite thing about the reading was, and then I'll tell you, and you'll be like, oh, did I say that? And it's like you zone out, give
Yeah.
the reading, and then move on with life, which I
Yeah.
love because that makes me feel good as someone who's getting a reading, because then the reader is not paying attention and retaining all your personal details. They're like, well, it just came through me, and now it's gone, and I don't remember it.
You're right.
I
And
love
who
that.
would want to? Oh my gosh.
Oh, can you imagine?
Can you imagine? I don't want to imagine.
No,
No,
don't.
I don't. And that's literally why, like, okay, I'll do the stuff like for the person that does my face. Or, this time I did on the airplane, but I don't march around and tune into stuff because again, can you imagine? Like everybody's life is so interesting. Do you want all that in your brain?
No. Well,
Not at
maybe
all.
sometimes, but not all the time.
No, just give me some trashy TV shows to watch. That's what I watch when I'm doing my blogs. I have to
Oh,
have
nice.
something
It
well
keeps you.
completely different. It can't like have any like worthwhile conversation.
Got it.
It's-
Okay.
It has to be like there's no way I would use it. Like this is not gonna make me think about anything that I'm writing or anything spiritual. It has to
So
be
it's almost just like background noise.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can.
Just clear the field.
Nice.
Clear the field, friend. Okay, so do you like have you talked with your kids like about um how much like it sounds like they all believe in God.
For sure. The younger two probably more so. I think they're more into the idea of God and we love the idea of angels and
Yeah.
like a team of in the spirit world looking out for us and helping us. We love that. Now the oldest one is not so much. Oddly enough, she's the only one who went to a private Christian school.
Oh,
Right. So, and after 2 years there, she was like, "I'm an atheist," and I said, "Well, that was that was money well spent." And she just, she is not one to. She'll just say, "I don't believe in that," but I don't think she's completely defined everything. And she's 17. She's still learning and growing and experimenting. So I'm hoping that maybe that's who she identifies as now, and she'll be open-minded enough that as time goes on, like 17 is still young. There's plenty of decades ahead to have some psychic adventures and spiritual.
wait, but do you really think that she's an atheist?
I do
You
not.
really?
No.
Yeah, I don't think she is either. I think she's just saying that.
I think so too. It could be her. Well, in hindsight, maybe she didn't like the Christian school so much, and that was her way of being like, I would rather go back to the public school now.
Oh my God, maybe she just planted the seed for you.
No, she is a seed planter, a bit of a farmer, if you will.
She just planted the seed to get out of it.
Well, it worked because she's now at the public school, so that's fine.
I forgot
But,
to tell you, last week when we did the angel, I started carrying like this little guardian angel.
Oh my God.
Isn't that cute? And I totally forgot to I got it in Santa Fe. I totally forgot to bring that up last week.
I love that.
Isn't
Yeah.
that sweet?
I love praying to angels and calling on them. It just, for whatever reason, it makes me truly feel like I get a whole team of, I don't know, bodyguards, guides, people clearing the way, making things, orchestrating things from me. I love it. It makes me feel very happy, safe, and taken care of.
Okay, when you do it, do you also reach out to your loved ones on the other side?
You know what? I'll call on ancestors, but how deep do you go in your thoughts? Like, do you picture people that you know, or are you going broad? Okay.
You know, here's the thing. Like, I will reach out to angels, but I can't, and I say just loved ones,
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of like loved ones, and perhaps not even from this life,
Okay. And then do
right?
you do spirit guides?
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine that it's like my guides and angels and loved ones, that it's just like this whole, this,
Team Polly?
yeah, but is that like crazy to think that you've got like all this help on the other side?
Well, I feel like I should be doing better than I am with all these. No offense, guys, but let's keep moving on, shall we?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'm just kidding. I'm deeply appreciative. That was just for the humor of it all. It is crazy to think about like all the beings and the force of, I don't know, the force you have behind you and in front of you and the support. But you do, and I do feel it.
But I can see why, if you are an atheist or whatever, I can see why you would be like, who the heck are those people that think that they have all this love and all the support on the other side? Who are they?
Yeah.
Right? Like, can't they just get on through life on their own like the
Right.
rest of us?
I
Right?
feel like you just spoke from my like you just channeled my eldest right then. That's something that she would totally say to me, like, you're foolish for thinking you have all this. And I'm like, well, I guess we'll have to respect each other's opinions on this.
But okay, but here's the thing. I think that people that believe that have a hard time believing that there is this loving team on the other side. I feel like it's kind of a self-worth thing, right? Because it's hard for them to imagine that they have that amazing team available. That amazing, I'll say connection. I like the word connection, that they have this amazing connection to love.
Yes. Which makes me sad, but that is very much the case. Yeah.
But it's not just, I think that that's just across the board. I think that people who really do struggle with the idea of anything beyond this have been hurt, right?
Yes.
They've suffered some trauma. They've been hurt. And so it's a protective thing.
And what I think is also interesting is because, you said that perhaps you don't feel like they are totally atheist all the time. Maybe they just identify that out of fear or trust. At the very bitter end, or when life has dealt them like a really tricky card and they're desperate, maybe that's when they turn to prayer and turn to God. Like,
And
I
then
have to
maybe
be pushed.
here's the thing. I think that maybe it doesn't even, I think that there are some of them, not all of them, but some of them that just like at the end or something happens. Oh my God. And their heart just opens. His heart is opening. Her heart, the heart.
So, I'm gonna go check on a dog really quick. BRB.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so while Kristen is taking a little prance elsewhere, I am going. Oh, because she's gonna miss this, so it won't be as entertaining. But sometimes, not by myself, but when I have family in Arizona, I love to watch Survivor. Okay, but Kristen, I was just sharing how, not by myself, but when I have family here, we'll watch Survivor together because I don't. Again, stupid TV.
Yes.
So then I go and I read like about some of the cast, and one of them that I really liked, he was like, and they asked questions like, what do you love, what do you don't like, whatever. And this one guy who really had these breakthroughs on the show, and his response was, I hate mediums and anybody that believes in them. They're just like, they're just trying to fleece you or whatever it was. And I was like, totally changed my opinion of him.
Yes.
It totally did. I mean, I took it a little personally, but I also am like,
As one would.
I'm like, how have you been so hurt that you can't believe in the possibilities?
That was his statement. He came right out of the gate, and that was his passion point.
Yeah.
Which
That's
makes
what
me
you
feel
like.
like there's more to this story.
Oh, I'm sure. But he really had some really big self-esteem issues when he started it.
Okay.
And I think he came through on the, like, he learned a lot about himself.
Well,
I
that's
guess
good.
he just didn't get far enough. I guess. I don't
Okay,
know.
this is the show where they vote you off the island.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
people voted him off?
Yeah, but he really loud. Maybe he won. I can't remember. Like, he really made it much farther than anybody thought. He was afraid of everything.
Really?
Hmm.
I need
Yeah,
to watch more reality TV.
yeah. Well, the Survivor's good because it's like what. Anyhow, it's entertaining.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
funny. But it is odd that that would be what he came in with. Like, I hate mediums.
that's what he said. It was like in an interview afterwards, and that's like what he said. It's like
Was there a psychic medium there on the team or
no,
involved? Well, that's so
no.
bizarre.
He must have had a bad experience. I don't
He
know.
must have. Like I said, there's more to the story. I want to get to the
There's
bottom of
more to
this.
the story, but he also struggled with his self worth.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could see that coming.
I guess I could email him.
You know what? I'm going to see if he wants to be a guest next week.
Oh, that would be a joy.
Wouldn't that be fun? Let me see what I can do. Speaking of which, if you'd like to call in, 323-203-0815. We can pull a card for you, give you a little guidance, anything you like.
That sounds fun. Lovely. I want to do a
lovely.
reading. Okay, so here's the thing. Do you remember a turning point in your life where your spirituality changed? Like, okay, like what would be for you, what would be proof of a higher power? What would be proof proof of life after death, proof of a higher power? Like, you know how there's
So,
different types of atheists and agnostics, or
yeah.
what's going to be a proof?
Well, I've got a couple things. One just sounds so basic, and I know I've told you this story before, but I was laying in bed one time freaking out. I was like, I had already graduated college. I was in between jobs, and I was just like totally analyzing what am I doing with my life? And I prayed just for peace. And immediately over my body, all the anxiety left, and I just felt so peaceful. And that was really impactful because I thought, oh my God, like all I had to do was pray. And it was a specific, like, pray to Jesus. It wasn't like that was exactly who I was talking to. And it felt it immediately, like complete calmness and like everything's going to be okay all over my body. I loved that. And then another one is when I was young, I'm guessing like 10-ish, and my great grandma had just died that summer, like early that summer. And we were very close. And she still comes and visits me and whatnot. I'm sure you've met her, Polly. And she's lovely. She had died. I was very sad. I was like 10-ish. My family every year would go on this canoe trip with my parents' square dance club. I'm from Missouri. So we would go on this canoe trip, and this particular summer, my canoe I was on, my mom and my sister headed down the river. My dad and I hit some rapids, and there were a bunch of people, and every canoe was like dumping over. Nobody could get through these rapids.
They were square dancers. What do you expect?
I know. I was like, are we going to Alaman left around this rapid or what? So we hit a canoe, we tipped, and I looked down, and the side of the canoe begins to fill with water. So my dad jumps out. Our cooler floats downstream. I am trying to jump out, but my foot is caught on, my shoe is caught on this like screw thing in the bottom of the metal canoe, and I couldn't get out. And I had a bar in front of me, and I had no life jacket on, which I don't even think would be effective. So the heavy aluminum canoe is filling with water, and it tips over and it sinks on me. And I remember it felt my back. I felt it squish into the pebbles at the bottom of the river. And then I took a deep breath in, obviously of water, but I didn't choke, nothing. And then I saw what I knew to be my great grandma, but very much in a bright yellow light. So it wasn't like I physically saw her face, but there was this light and I knew it was her. And she told me without saying words, just felt like everything's going to be fine. And then it was like she was reaching out to me with a ray of light hand and grabbed my hand and then pulled. And right about then, my dad pulled me up, like out from under the canoe. And then only later did I find out that it had been more than 5 minutes that they had been searching for me. Like I was legitimately not surfacing for a while. So that was very impactful. And I thought for sure then I knew never to fear death and that you just kind of turn into a bright light when you die was my
Isn't it
thought as a young girl.
crazy?
Crazy.
But here's the thing. Like, I love that story, but here's the thing. Like, why do some people have those experiences that change your life
Mm-hmm.
and others don't? And maybe is it like it's possible for all of us, but do others choose to not? Like, do you choose to not before you come in here in this life?
I don't know. Because I do feel like there's a certain amount of pre-call planning we do before we come down. Like there are some
Yeah.
legitimate things planned out that we were a part of, an active part of the planning.
Yeah.
And then here we are.
And here we are. I mean, okay, and I don't want to sound like, like what's the right word? I don't want to sound like if you just talk about spirituality or you just look at the bright side, that there's
Right.
no suffering, that there's no like we know that there are challenges. Oh my God, how many times do I talk about the things that are irritating me or I've had challenges in my life. We all do. But to have the capacity to recognize a higher outlook.
Yeah. That's where you elevate your game. That's when you find peace, knowing
Yeah.
that you don't have to be in charge of it all and that it's right where it's supposed to be and everything's going to be okay on the other side.
Yes. And thank God you don't have to be in charge of it all.
Can you imagine if we were in charge of it all?
I'm like way too lazy. Oh, now it's my dog.
What
baby
is
dog.
the deal?
I don't know. They're like baby.
Must be the leftover new moon energy.
You were going to talk about the new moon. Talk about the new moon and let's pull our cards.
Okay, so it was what I think is interesting about the new moon and full moon is when they land in the zodiac sign, and Scorpio is fascinating to me. As I mentioned, my son's birthday was yesterday, so he's a Scorpio.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
That
But
is interesting.
a couple of things that I thought were interesting is the Scorpionic moon is all about intimacy, control, power, and money. Which I don't know what I thought it would be, but those were not what I thought it would be.
Oh,
And this is-
seriously?
yeah. Is that on brand for you? You would have anticipated it being that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you think of Scorpio and it's all the deep stuff that we don't necessarily talk about. So sex,
Yes.
money, all those deep emotions, loss, death,
Mm-hmm.
going into all those stuff that
Like shadowy stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so then the whole new moon was usually I'm excited about a new moon because it's like a fresh start. This
Yeah.
one was more like all your bullshit's coming to the surface and clearing out. So then you can have a fresh start, but it's going to be shedding some light on things that you don't want light shed upon.
Oh, interesting.
I
How do
know.
you feel?
So that I thought was interesting. But then it says what makes the new moon specifically Scorpio. Tidbits were to dig a little deeper and try to understand your motives and others' motives, which
Yeah.
don't just take everything for face value.
But you're right. That is kind of almost like the messages you get with full moon, like illumination. And so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting. I wouldn't have thought Will as a Scorpio. That sheds a whole new light on him.
You know, as he gets older, he gets more scorpionic, if you will.
Yeah, very interesting.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see what he does with that, right? With all
Yeah.
those brilliant undercurrent
Mhm.
thoughts. What type of poetry and stuff that he weaves into his life.
That'll be fun.
It
All right,
will
let me
be
get my cards here. Okay, are we doing cards for like the energy of the week?
Yes, we are,
I
friends.
love that for us.
Yes, energy of the week.
What deck are you using?
A little angel tarot
Oh, I
because
like
it's
that.
so sweet. So sweet.
I'm gonna do a good shuffle over here.
I'm decidedly, well, I'm feeling very lazy. I'm not shuffling too much.
You know what? You don't have to.
I don't have to. No, let's see. Let's see what's out there for us. Oh, I love this.
What'd you get?
Page of Pentacles, luck.
Ooh, I
And
do
I
love
love
luck.
that. And you know what? It's okay. I'm just telling everybody, just enjoy this. Like this week, just sit back and just receive. I'm just feeling like this incredible wave of laziness. Not laziness like I'm not going to do anything worthwhile, but laziness and like practice the art of receiving this week. Practice the art of trusting, practice the art of receiving.
There is a freeing element in that. Like, I feel like finally no action steps needed on my part. I can just take it all in.
Take it all in, friend. Take it
Mhm.
all in. Let go. Let go first. Let go.
Let go.
Let go. Get that foot that's caught on the screw in the bottom of the canoe. Get it untwisted and let go and just receive.
Oh, I love that for me. That's
Yeah.
good. Can you? Oh, no, you can't. It's Two of Stars, boldness. And
Uh-huh.
so the picture is two people leaning in and then a star in between them. And it looks to me like they're very peaceful, but they're leaning in. Their foreheads are nearly touching. They're kind of side by side, but leaning in and turning in slightly. And so for me, that's about balance. And also, I mean, not too far off from the message from your card. I feel like this is just kind of telling us take a breath, take a step back, relax into it, and see it from whatever you're looking at, like whatever's stressing you out, take a step back, look at it, and see it from a more balanced perspective. Like try to see it from a couple different angles. Don't take any action steps. Just be confident and bold and take a step back and try to check it out from others' perspectives as well.
I like that. And I also like it for like noticing how you're supported, noticing, right? Because lots of times we move through life and we don't recognize like how the world is supporting us, who's in our corner, how like
Yes,
we don't stop to recognize the way we're blessed.
totally. Yeah, it's the little things. And it's funny because sometimes when, like, there's every Wednesday morning, I teach very early at the studio, and I have a client who brings me coffee. And I got to tell you, at about 5:45 in the morning when she greets me with the coffee, it brings me joy. And
Yeah.
then I don't forget about it. I feel joyful and gratitude every day. But then today, one of my kids stopped by the studio before school and pointed it out and was like, "Oh, did you get a coffee?" And I was like, "Someone brought that." And then my child just raved about how kind and nice it was. And it reminded me, like, yes, I am so supported. And so many people do so many nice things for me. Thank you,
That's
God.
I love that. And I love that your child was recognized that.
Well, they were like, oh, mom got coffee. She'll be nice.
I love that. And they didn't try to steal it.
Right? Today, anyway.
Okay,
We
if
are
people want to
approaching
learn,
the end.
we are. But if people want to learn more about you, work with you, how?
Yes. You can find me. My website is garagepilates.net. And then social media is a great way to connect as well. You can always send us a DM to our Instagram account, truth.wellness.psychic. If you have any questions, requests, topics you want to discuss, hook us up. Just send us a DM. And Polly, you can be found.
On my website is pollywirum.com. You can find my writing on Your Tango or Eden Magazine. I have, let's see, I think the next one is coming out. Oh, December 1st, I think is when they usually do it on Eden Magazine.
And I'm
And then
just over
Your
here waiting for your
Tango.
book.
Well, Kristen, let me just tell, I know we have less than a minute. Let me just tell you, I really like it won't take me very long to finish it. I just need to be uninterrupted. So I think when I come back from my trip next week,
Mm-hmm.
really after Christmas, realistically after Christmas,
Yeah.
I will be able, and I think I can get it done in like 6 to 8 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
it
know
won't
you
take me
can.
very long. I just have to be uninterrupted.
Yeah.
I
That's
have,
the
I
that's the
just have to
challenge.
have like uninterrupted and set it into my schedule and be
Got it.
home.
Yes.
Be home.
Well, I'm excited for it.
Thank you, friend.
Yes.
And we have a retreat coming up in April
Yes.
for the new moon, April 5th. The new moon is April 8th, but we will get you primed for that new
Time
moon.
to prep for that, to benefit from that moon to its fullest. Follow
I don't even know
pollyline.com for more info on the moon.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. I'll have to look.
Ooh, that's even more exciting.
Okay, friends. Kristin, thank you. Thank you all for listening. And we will be here next week.
Yes, have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures with Kristin and Polly, only on LA Talk Radio.